Wanted to show this video. This is by Fox News. They're highlighting Bernie Sanders, how he had a big quarter with fundraising, and they're highlighting how a lot of teachers are in support of him, and they bring that up as if it's a reason to be alarmed. Let's go ahead and look at the video.
Wowza, Bernie Sanders raising $34.5 million in the final quarter of the year. The haul from nearly 2 million donors far exceeds the like of Pete Buttigieg, but he had a great quarter himself. Very impressive. So where's Sanders' money? Where's it coming from? Well, the most common employers were folks who worked in Amazon, Starbucks, Walmart, Target, the U.S. Postal Service. But here's a little nugget that really got me worried. The most common occupation? Teachers. I mean, teachers are backing the socialist candidate. I mean, when you think about that, you have to ask yourself, what are they teaching our kids? I want to bring in Democratic strategist Kevin Chavos, along with Trump 20 senior legal advisor Jenna Ellis. Jenna, when I saw that, I'm like, teachers? They're backing the socialists? What country is this? I'm confused.
Yeah, well, Charles, I don't think anyone, regardless of any profession, should be backing socialism whatsoever. And so I think that's a problem regardless of what profession we're talking about. But I think what's most interesting about this, and it probably speaks a lot more to the influence of the union bosses over teachers more than anything else. And so I don't think that when you look at, the average teacher in America and what they are for and what they're promoting, I think it speaks a lot more to the union influence. And, Bernie has gotten some of those endorsements, but if you look at unions otherwise, President Trump certainly has a lot more of the backing of other types of unions, and I think that we're going to see that for the individual average American, regardless of profession, you see so much in those small campaign dollars that are going to President Trump.
Well, let's talk about Trump
else.
in a moment, Jenna. And first of all, folks, I do have breaking news. It's official now. Biden's fourth quarter numbers are in. He raised $22.7 million, slightly better than he had in the third quarter, Kevin. But here's the thing. You consider Bernie's numbers. You consider Mayor Pete, almost $25 million. You consider over $12 million for Andrew Yang. And I'm looking at these numbers, and I'm saying to myself, the Democrat establishment is losing their grip. It feels like grassroots, your party, they don't want these manufactured, candidates that the establishment sort of rubber stamps.
There's obviously an appetite for change. And look, Bernie Sanders has been a fundraising dynamo. Even in 2016, he had this sort of reputation and raised more money from small individual donors than anyone had before, and now he's broken that record. So it's more of the same for him, and it is very impressive. But I would say about Joe Biden, I mean, his numbers are pretty encouraging for him to come in, as you said, at 22 million, almost 23, and he's starting to coalesce top Democratic fundraisers around his campaign, those who supported Biden and Hillary. Let's not forget that Hillary in 2016 outraised the Trump campaign and the RNC,
right.
And I think we'll see Joe Biden begin to get that support. So these numbers are good for him. And I would say the biggest loser is Elizabeth Warren, who
there's no doubt about that. I agree with you.
Yeah.
But let me ask you, though, if you take Mayor Pete, Bernie, and Andrew Yang, that, over $50 million. There's a message being sent to your party, though. That's the question I'm saying. Is anyone paying attention to it, or will they continue to borrow your word to coalesce around Biden?
Well, we have to remember that the main thing that's important to Democrats in this election is defeating Donald Trump. I mean, health care is important, and people talk about jobs and those things, but there's a strong sort of passion around getting Donald Trump out of office for people on the left. And I think as polling continues to show that Joe Biden has the better chance at defeating Donald Trump, that the money will continue to go to him as people drop out. Julian Castro dropped out today.
Yeah.
I don't think that
I felt the ripples all the way to New York. I felt the earth move under my feet when he dropped out. Real quick, Jenna, back to you, because President Trump's $46 million. Overall speculation is that when the RNC announces their number, the combined number for fourth quarter could be over $200 million. Nothing to sneeze at. Certainly a juggernaut in his own right.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And I think, the 46 million, is not the aggregate number. And I think that's really important to say and to show that President Trump is out fundraising everyone, and even the combined aggregate of Democratic opponents. And so he's the only candidate right now that has $102 million cash on hand in his campaign at the end of the year. That's really significant. He was also the first president in United States history to announce his reelection campaign the day he got inaugurated. And so President Trump has had had a really great momentum going into 2020. Fundraising is only one aspect, but he's strong on all fronts.
Kevin, I got 30 seconds, but I guess the Democrats are going to stop calling to take money out of politics.
Well, look, you've got to have the resources in order to win, and we see that. And like Jenna said, President Trump has amassed a war chest. We've got to put money together in order to defeat him, and that's why I think getting behind someone who can appeal to people in the middle will be most important.
We'll see. Hey, happy New Year,
Sad that Biden's
Kevin.
the only one.
Hey, Kevin, Jenna, listen, I'm telling you, there's something interesting happening here with the Bernies and the Mayor Pete's and Andrew Yang. Something is happening. I think the folks in charge of the Democratic Party will not have an answer for it when it's all said and done. Thank you both very much. See you soon.
Happy New Year.
Thank you. Happy New Year.
Hey,
Let's go ahead and unpack some of what these commentators were just saying. So first off, they were talking about the specific types of workers that were supporting Bernie. They said that people who work at Amazon, people who work at Starbucks, Walmart, teachers. Understand, these are underpaid individuals. Of course they're going to like Bernie. Of course they're going to like his message. Bernie guarantees that every single teacher will make $60,000 a year. That's what he's wanting to happen, at least. Teachers have bachelor's degrees, a lot of them have master's degrees, and they're not making that amount. They spend a lot of time sacrificing in our communities. These commentators try to wave that off as if we should be alarmed that a lot of teachers like Bernie Sanders. What other profession should we trust more in politics than teachers? Do teachers seem extremely self-interested, like they're just trying to get a lot of money, compared to bankers or lawyers? Do teachers generally know what they're talking about? Think about it. They're educated. They have to have at least a bachelor's degree. Who should we trust more than teachers? Should we trust oil executives? How about janitors or truck drivers? I don't say that to try and diminish the importance of janitors and truck drivers, those types of blue-collar jobs, factory workers, but teachers are educated. They're going to understand what's happening in society more than a lot of the general public. Oftentimes, people on the right want to privatize education. A lot of teachers don't want that to happen. Not just because private schools don't always treat teachers as well, but private schools aren't always even the same quality as public schools. While I was waiting to get hired on at a public school, I taught at a private school for maybe 2 months. At this school, students in an 8th grade U.S. history class. It was in April, and they were just barely starting to learn about the Revolutionary War. Where in a public school, they learned about the Revolutionary War way earlier in the year, maybe October, or they're wrapping it up in November. So not even comparable at that point. This it was a religious private school, and they would spend time reading and doing prayers and spending a lot of time on religion, and in that time they weren't learning the basic curriculum that individuals in other schools were learning, and learning history is extremely important. In addition to that, you have charter schools that people on the right often promote. On these charter school boards, you have people that are profiting, people that are making money. Nobody's making money off of public schools. In a charter school, you have public tax dollars going towards the private profits of a few individuals. Notice how those commentators, they talk about how Biden is the one Democratic nominee that would potentially have a choice against, or be able to have a chance against Trump. Says who? People were promoting Hillary, saying that she was going to beat Donald. Really, these people don't know what they're talking about. I don't know why they should be trusted. Biden, yeah, he raised $22 million. That's, for one, less than Bernie, but for two, he did that with billionaires and PACs and super PACs helping him out. Bernie doesn't have super PACs, he doesn't have billionaires, which makes his $34 million that he's raised even more remarkable. There's a reason why Bernie has raised so much money. It's because he talks about issues that people care about, even if a lot of media outlets don't give him the credit that they should, and they're polling. Kyle Kulinski did a video on this. They're polling, or they're promoting these candidates that are polling far lower, like Amy Klobuchar and Pete Buttigieg, and they're polling Sanders way lower, even though he has a lot more popularity than those candidates. Them in this Fox video promoting Trump and saying, look at him, he's raised $46 million. Okay, for one, it's easy for an incumbent to raise money. compared to other candidates. For two, he's also raising money from super PACs, PACs. He's raising money from billionaires, oil companies are giving to his campaign. If he was just getting small dollar donations, let's be real, Trump wouldn't compete with Bernie. And we need media companies that are going to lay that out and really speak the truth and say it as it is. Trump would not compete with Bernie if he was trying to fundraise without the help of billionaires and PACs. At the end, these commentators saying that the Democratic establishment is surprised by Bernie and Yang and Buttigieg. Okay, that shows their ignorance again. Buttigieg doesn't belong in that category. He's not some kind of populist candidate that's receiving low-dollar donations like Bernie and Yang. Buttigieg, as Bernie brought up, he's receiving money from a lot of billionaires. Biden, 44. Buttigieg, I want to say 39 billionaires is what he brought up in the last debate. Buttigieg is a Democratic establishment favorite. They love Petey Boy. They think that he's perfect. Kind of like Obama. Change on the outside, continuity on the inside. And as far as Yang, I have liked Yang throughout the campaign. I've been paying attention to some things that Kyle Kulinski has been saying on Secular Talk. He's pretty persuasive, and he's brought up how Yang won't stand for Medicare for all. He's not agreeing with it anymore. And then also the fact that he wants Julian Assange to be convicted, even though Julian Assange, his work was leading to government officials basically being exposed for war crimes. We shouldn't want to convict those types of individuals. And so either A, Andrew Yang didn't have all the information, or B, he supports punishing whistleblowers who expose the U.S. For their crimes. So for those reasons, even though I still do like Yang, I'm starting to lean more heavily towards Bernie at this point. I liked Bernie in 2016, and I like Bernie for 2020. If you like politics, if you like history, if you agree with some of the stuff that I talked about today, go ahead and subscribe to my channel. Thanks for watching.